Oh, CNN. CNN, do you ever stop? CNN, as an institution, as an organization, as quote unquote an authoritative source, they've had a bad week. I mean, the last couple of days have been really, 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 really rough. All right. I mean, they are having meltdowns galore. And, you could turn each one of these videos into their own subject, but this is a collage. And it says the real state of mind of where CNN is going as a media network and why they're going under. Case in point, I mean, they don't know what they're talking about. And we have to really bring up this one in particular because this has really captured my attention because they're still on something that is a distraction, a glorified distraction. They got to talk about Elon Musk again.
Look, the first time that Elon Musk decides to declare that globalist Jews are responsible for the great replacement of brown people into the United States, maybe it was a misunderstanding. The second time he said that Jews are pushing hatred against white people, that's a quote, that was a little iffy. By the second Sieg Heil, I think he kind of loses the benefit of the doubt to be not accused of playing footsie with these Nazis. I'm not saying he's a Nazi. I'm saying the Nazis think he's a Nazi, which they very clearly did at this event. And these words were not said in a vacuum. As you pointed out, the leaders of AfD have embraced, in many cases, the Nazi heritage. They have wanted to take down the Holocaust Memorial in Berlin, saying it is inappropriate to recognize this horrific chapter in German history. And I just think it's horrific. I don't understand why this guy keeps getting the benefit of the doubt, whether or not he believes this stuff personally.
You didn't even mention the Nazi jokes he was making on Twitter. That actually got.
He's been given so many chances
about it.
Yeah.
I was hearing a lot of sighing, Scott. What's the deal?
I mean, we've moved on from Trump
derangement syndrome and Elon Musk. Wanted to play that out for a little bit because people are getting so emotionally charged about Elon doing that very odd hyperactive salute. Say whatever you will about it, but it's like there's more important issues such as Medicaid being frozen, such as, innocent people being rounded up, our economy still in a little bit of shaky spot. And yes, folks, I mean, I'm ever hopeful that there will be a ceasefire, a full ceasefire in Ukraine. I mean, wouldn't we like that? Wouldn't we like to see that? But also, people in LA County still dealing with the wildfires. And yes, people on the East Coast still dealing with hurricanes. But talking about Elon Musk, CNN, you could do better.
Derangement syndrome to Elon derangement syndrome.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you want to defend his saying the Germans get to
Let me let him finish, Catherine.
I love this game we play where you talk for 2 minutes, I talk for 3 seconds,
ahead,
and you
Scott.
freak out. So
this guy right here is probably the only reason why CNN is still getting views.
he has a long record of supporting the Jewish people, number one. Number two, anybody who is asserting this thing he did on the stage the other day was a Sieg Heil, which I just heard you say, lawyer up maybe, because absolute ridiculous thing to say under no circumstances.
The Nazis in Germany thought it was a Sieg Heil.
Technically, they're not a political party there in Germania anymore. But I mean, there's bigger issues at hand. If you're going to have Trump derangement syndrome or Elon derangement syndrome, at least give out real criticism towards them. Like, if they're part of the oligarchy, Donald Trump is definitely investing in AI and big tech. And of course, with AI and big tech, we're stepping closer and closer to the full-on surveillance state that we were warned about in many science fiction TV shows and books. Weren't we warned about this grim, dark future? But no, we got to talk about personalities and people's feelings.
Nazis in Germany
under no
thought
circumstances
it was a Sieg Heil.
was he doing anything other than expressing enthusiastically.
Why don't you do it on TV right now?
Is appreciate.
What? No, no, lady, whoa. You see, don't do that.
Why don't you do it on TV right now if you think it's so
number three?
banal.
Number three. I think it is fully appropriate. And I, of course, have been the strongest supporter of the Jewish people on this network for over a year, since October the 7th.
Is that true?
To remember the Holocaust and to remember the atrocities committed against the Jewish people. And I also think it's appropriate to remember the atrocities committed against them right now. And it seems to me, let me just finish my point.
No,
it seems to me.
Yes, CNN. Thank you. Thank you for ignoring the bigger issue, but also CNN. It's because of stuff like this, too, that they're unable to adapt to the changing times, because even now, there's still a talk and failure at the border, which CNN, as a news organization, has failed to really address because they turned a blind eye to how the Biden-Harris administration made things progressively worse. Case in point, right here.
Because you're right, the numbers were already down historically. They were less when Joe Biden was in office than when Trump was in office. So it's really all for show right now.
There's a couple of things that have been said that I think are inaccurate or out of context. One of which is the idea that it was just as good under Biden. That is patently false. Biden belatedly, at the end of his presidency, did some things through executive actions that the last 6 months made the numbers look better.
I didn't say it was just as good. I didn't say it was just as good under Biden.
I said the numbers were lower under Biden when Biden left than when Trump was in office. And that is a fact.
No, over four year to 4 year.
4 year to 4 year. When Biden left.
4 year to 4 year. Who had a better record?
When
The New York
Biden
Times.
left.
Hold on, Maria.
Guys, chill, CNN, because pretty soon I could see this show getting fired too. And yes, we're going to be talking about firings in the next video clip.
Okay, hold on, I want the governor.
The New York Times, which is no conservative publication, did investigative reporting not long ago that looked at the Biden administration and concluded that the number of illegal immigrants that President Biden led into this country was the largest number of illegal immigrants in the history of the country, bar none. New York Times. Beyond that, this point about Scott just raised, the American people are fed up with illegal immigration, and they're particularly fed up with people who are criminals and also fugitives from the law. Tom Homan may get to the point where he's in schools or hospitals. We'll see if criminals are hiding there.
Oh boy. Yeah, like that works well. I'll see if criminals are hiding in schools and in hospitals. Follow the orders. Thought-provoking conversations at CNN, which is why they're doing so many massive layoffs.
They're not there yet. And the idea that somehow this is offensive to go after rapists, murderers,
No one's
sex
saying
traffickers.
that's offensive,
but
Governor.
now those numbers are
No
going to
one is
ramp up.
saying.
I'll just make a prediction to you. Trump will increase those numbers well beyond what you saw under Biden. And lastly, there's 1 million plus fugitives beyond the criminals who've already been adjudicated, have already had due process, that are in the United States. So once they get done with the gangbangers, the sex traffickers, the weapons merchants, the other folks who are involved in heinous crimes, then they can get to work on 1.2 million fugitives who've already been adjudicated and get them out of the country. And when they get that all done, maybe we can get around to some of the other ones.
And again, CNN can't make a strong argument because then these pundits have a strong argument because so many people at CNN were going to bat for Joe Biden. And in turn, now something interesting is happening. We've talked about before in the past that CNN is doing massive layoffs. This says a lot about the organization and infrastructure at CNN, the fact that the leadership from the top on down is unable to adapt in this changing media environment, where you now have new media being trusted more than corporate media, which is, for one thing, I welcome. I just wish that the censorship and suppression wasn't turned to 11. So let's go ahead and pull up this video here, because the CNN layoffs are happening, and I'm pretty sure all of you have seen this video in one form or another, but it's a sign of the times. A dinosaur is dying. We're going to witness, better yet, in comparison to nature, a whale fall. And for those who don't know what a whale fall is, it's when a big old whale, blue whale, humpback whale, one of those big, beautiful ocean creatures just dies. And that means ding, 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 it's dinner time. Sharks and all other kind of carnivorous animals feed upon its corpse. It gets bloated, it dies, falls to the bottom, and its flesh and bones are picked clean till nothing remains but the skeleton husk of that once mighty animal. And that's happening to CNN.
Just wanted to end today's show by thanking all of the wonderful people who work behind the scenes at this network. You may have seen some reports about me and this show. And after giving all of this some careful consideration and weighing an alternative time slot CNN offered me, I've decided to move on. I am grateful to CNN for the nearly 18 years I've spent here doing the news. People often ask me if the highlight of my career at CNN was at the White House covering Donald Trump. Actually, no.
Ugh, I bet it was, because that was the bread and butter. That's what saved CNN. The first term of Trump was the last big boost corporate media got. It gave them so much of a big head that people at CNN really, 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 really thought people liked them so much that they'd actually do like a streaming service, CNN Plus. 1 month, it was active. $250 million down the drain.
No. That moment came here when I covered former President Barack Obama's trip to Cuba in 2016 and had the chance to question the dictator there, Raul Castro, about the island's political prisoners. As the son of a Cuban refugee, I took home this lesson. It is never a good time to bow down to a tyrant. I've always believed it's the job of the press to hold power to account. I've always tried to do that here at CNN, and I plan on doing all of that in the future. One final message. Don't give in to the lies. Don't give in to the fear. Hold on to the truth and to hope. Even if you have to get out your phone, record that message. I will not give in to the lies. I will not give in to the fear.
But that's what you guys did at CNN. The Hunter Biden laptop story was dismissed. You know, any kind of real criticism towards, hey, are there weapons of mass destruction in Iraq? Or what was happening to the Bernie Sanders campaign in 2016 and 2020 during the Democratic primaries when election fraud was taking place? And CNN was also contributing and calling Bernie Sanders supporters and everything else, all sorts of horrible names. I remember all the smears and slanders. I remember all that. Not given to the lies. You guys had to be part of the narrative. Say that again.
To hold power to account. I've always tried to do that here at CNN, and I plan on doing all of that in the future. One final message. Don't give in to the lies. Don't give in to the fear. Hold on to the truth and to hope. Even if you have to get out your phone, record that message. I will not give in to the lies. I will not give in to the fear. Post it on your social media so people can hear from you too. I'll have more to say about my plans in the coming days, but until then, I want to thank all of you for tuning in. It has been an honor to be welcomed into your home for all these years. That's the news. Reporting from Washington, I'm Jim Acosta.
Hold on. As long as that power is a Republican, yes, because CNN has been changing its tune. Also, Lawrence Johnson, liar, liar, pants on fire. Outside Steeler fan, be nice with the small violin. Kurt Boss, the boss of bosses, says, hold power to account. You're not Max Blumenthal, buddy. And of course, Bad Cookie says, you are a professional liar who obscures the truth. Okay. No truth to hold on to, says Jenny Lynn. There we go. Let's see. We got Kiki the Fish, who says, your face is the definition of a lie. There we go. And Eric Hartel says, in other words, don't watch CNN. Lawrence Fine, I will not give in to CNN. My audience, where did you learn to be so mean? Where did you learn to be so mean? Because I know you didn't learn it from me. I know you didn't. But of course, even then, when CNN is trying to give out some information, especially stuff that goes against their narrative that they've been holding on to for 8 years, because again, all of corporate media was contributing to the lie of, and anything that the Trump administration does is terrible, but the Biden administration is fine. And remember, the same thing too that happened during the election year. CNN was saying that Biden and then eventually Kamala had it in the bag. People are still scratching their heads about why and where did CNN get those numbers. And speaking of numbers, watch this little cute back and forth.
This is a very different Donald Trump. He's leading a very different administration, the way he's attacking things. And the American public is very much more in line with him than they were at any point during his entire first term.
Well, I would say, correction, this is not a very different Donald Trump. This is a very different Donald Trump as being viewed by voters in this.
In the way he's going about things with Susan Wiles leading things.
Now, wait a minute. Hold on. Let's be clear here, folks. All right. This is still the same Donald Trump. Now, what's the difference? There is a difference. 4 years of incompetence from the Biden-Harris administration. And I want to pull up a tweet here. A tweet here from a good viewer and subscriber who supports the show. And because of this, I love my audience, especially when all of you start speaking truth to power, because it is so powerful to hear engagement from the audience. But also, I try my very best to see everything in real time, especially on social media. Sometimes I see you, sometimes I'm doing a lot of work, but I give a shout out to Notori Lee, who says, to see everything real Donald Trump is doing, good or bad, what the F were Biden and Kamala Harris doing for the past 4 damn years? What were they doing? And Harlan's Media responded, doing nothing was their plan, and also waiting on the parliamentarian. Hey, CNN, I know you guys did some commentary and analysis on the Senate parliamentarian. Viewing audience, do you remember the Senate parliamentarian? How come Trump isn't listening to the Senate parliamentarian? Do you remember? Let's have democracy in the chat. Type 1 for why yes, Kit. The thing is, I do remember Senate parliamentarian, but things were things were a little complicated, you know, and that's why Biden had to defer to the parliamentarian. Type 2, parliamentarian is a know-nothing burger job, and Trump ain't going to listen to Jack, okay? I wonder how many 2s will be in the chat. I wonder how many 2s will show up. I wonder, do you ever wonder?
With him than they were at any point during his entire first term.
Well, I would say, correction, this is not a very different Donald Trump. This is a very different Donald Trump as being viewed by voters in this.
In the way he's going about things with Susan Wiles leading things, I think he is, going at things in a much less disorganized fashion, much more organized.
Take me back in history.
Take you back in history. So it was so interesting to me that Donald Trump's first net approval rating of his second term is higher than his entire first term. And I was interested, has that ever happened? Has the second term net approval rating in the first month, have you ever had a higher rating than any net approval rating during the entire first term? Donald Trump is the only.
I have a really hard time believing this.
Okay, can we be a little professional here, CNN? No, this is pretty much accepted to see, because whether you like it or not, Trump has followed through with some of the initial stages of his promises. He said he was going to do certain things, and he's doing them, whether we like him or not. And that in turn inspires his audience and his viewers and his supporters. And of course, Trump throughout the entire election year of 2024 was capitalizing not only him going through legal lawfare, constantly on the defense, capitalizing on that mugshot, seeing all these legal cases fail miserably. And they did, because guess what? He won the Republican primary without even showing up to any of the debates, and then still managed to win the general election, abundantly clear against 2 failed candidates, Biden and Kamala. The same Donald Trump, who also survived not 1, but 2 attempts on his life, he was going to capitalize on that. Why do you think he has such a high net positivity? Now, we will see what happens further on down the road, because mind you, we are only still in the final or the first month of 2025. 2 more days, and then we go into the second month of 2025, February. We still got another 3.5 more years, give or take. And Donald Trump will be president. So we'll see where these numbers go, but them being high shouldn't shock anyone.
This is 100% true. I went back. I love spreadsheets. Donald Trump's is the first guy ever whose net approval rating in the first month of his second term is higher than any rating that he had as an entire first term, Kate Baldwin. This is true. I don't make stuff up. The numbers are the numbers.
I believe you.
The numbers are the numbers. Jenny Lynn, we've gone back to the future, and Biff is president. And may the emperor save us all, because as we all know, the layoffs are still continuous at CNN. Many of the staffers are blasting, no pun intended, tone-deaf CEO Mark Thompson over layoffs as Jim Acosta moves over to midnight slot. I mean, they're all being replaced. They're all being hit. Roughly 200 employees will be laid off, although the network is looking to add roughly the same number of staffers to its digital side over the next year, which I have to say to CNN, good luck, because you did try this before. You tried this before, CNN. And the thing is, the perfect canary in the coal mine is that Coca-Cola Classic Case Study QB video. Way back on June 24th, 2022, our good friend Case Study QB, a wonderful, wonderful friend and ally, posted a video that will forever remain in my heart. And I'm so glad that we have the internet so it could live here forever. This took place in 2022 when CNN Plus became dead.
Everybody knows by now that CNN's hitting rock bottom. Their ratings have hit record lows. Chris Cuomo was fired, Jeff Zucker forced out. Host Brian Stelter's days are numbered, reportedly, and we can see why. His show last week getting 56,000 viewers in the demo. Now, for context, I was going to name shows that rate higher than that, but we don't have time. I'd have to read you the entire TV guide. But when it rains, it pours. Not only has CNN lost viewers, they've lost what little respect they ever.
Flex Diggs, if they show more twerking for democracy, I might watch CNN. Flex Diggs, get up and go see the White House counselor right now. Go right now. Go right now.
Had. When CNN approached Republican candidate for Arizona governor, Kari Lake, things didn't go well. Watch.
Okay, folks, grab the popcorn.
Hi. Hi. Nice to see you. CNN. You don't have a mask on anymore. What's going
we're
on?
outside. Do you have a minute to
Well, we're
chat?
6 feet apart.
Do you have a minute to chat?
I'll do an interview.
Okay.
As long as it airs on CNN Plus.
It's funny because it's funny. Oh, yeah, CNN Plus is broke.
Does that still exist? I didn't think so, because the people don't like what you guys are peddling, which is propaganda. Thank you.
Oof. Oof, indeed. So what's the lesson? What's the big takeaway here? Throughout this entire week, and dare I say, throughout this entire month of January, CNN has been hemorrhaging views. CNN is laying off people. We are witnessing a media entity die in real time. And I don't think there's any professional CEO, board administrators, or anyone that could fix this catastrophic situation to a legacy media outlet. And this should serve as a warning to outlets like MSNBC, NBC, CBS, ABC, even Fox News. Viewers are changing how they consume media. And while corporate media did capitalize with the first adpocalypse, and they all did, they all played a role in being part of that first big wave of the algorithm. So you're wondering why perhaps maybe you're not being notified, or perhaps maybe not seeing a follow-up video from your favorite independent media content creator. It's because corporate media managed to bully big tech to control the algorithm. But you, the viewers, have choices. And after this election cycle, after being constantly hyping up Biden and Kamala, how they're going to win the election, or how Trump was going to go to jail, or how Trump was going to lose, or this, that, and the other, now they're in the situation where they have to cover Trump, but also deal with the fact for the past 4 years, and even the first 4 years of the Trump administration, they got egg on their face. These quote-unquote experts, these authoritative sources, failed at every single attempt to inform the American people. And even when they were given a chance to do the right thing, such as maybe hold Democrats accountable, or either that realize that many of their little fun sit-downs talking about how Donald Trump was going to do this and do that, well, it's blowing up in your face. No one's trusting you, CNN. You are the first to go. I could say this with absolute confidence. CNN will be the first media network that will eventually die out or become even far more diminutive than it's ever been before. People aren't trusting it because we've been lied to by corporate media, lied to about the wars, lied to about the corporations, lied to about stories being covered up. And we've already seen from one video segment how Politico, we did a segment here on Hard Lens Media, how two people who worked for Politico had to tiptoe around the Hunter Biden laptop story. If you think that was only for Politico, that was happening everywhere. For all these stories, for all these things that we, the American people, should be informed about. We have the choice. We have the power. And in this day and age, we as viewers, as consumers, as Americans who want to be informed about the day in and day out happenings in America, we deserve real media that's going to hold these politicians accountable, not be their friend, not give them softball questions, but hold them accountable for their failures, hold them accountable for their actions. And what we are witnessing is a change. And no, CNN won't just go belly up tomorrow or maybe next week or next year, but it's in that process. a whale fall is happening. So get out your knives and forks and let's feast on the corpse, shall we? It'll be a lot of fun for the whole family.